Hello everyone, welcome back for Christmas. It's MyTyme here. This is WWE Supercard. I hope you've enjoyed the festive season so far. Hope it's treated you well and you're enjoying time off work or school, whatever it is, before the new year starts and we get back to the grind. I just want to say that this is the second time now I'm doing this video because I've had some difficulties in the previous ones and everything has been messed up. So unfortunately this video doesn't show exactly what I wanted it to. Before we move on, the first part of it I will get underway is my last King of the Ring. I'm in a new one here with what I think is about 4 other humans, and if I go to standings, myself as a human, Kyubi is, Cyril is, and down here Clarky is. This El Poloco guy, for example, is a bot, and if you want to try and identify what bots are, then you look at your tier. So I'm in survivor tier, but if you were in, say, legendary tier, the picture is going to be a pro, okay? And you can tell it's a pro because it has moving things in the background. So this is a pro. Then when you actually look at the team, it is a team full of pro survivor cards. So if you're in legendary tier, it'd be a team full of pro legendary cards. If you're in epic tier, a team full of pro epic cards. So that lets you know. No, that doesn't mean that when these bots are fully energized, it doesn't mean that their cards are fully maxed out. They tend to not have obviously all the tokens added, and they're not 25 out of 25. So for example, a fully powered survivor card here would beat the fully powered card of the bot because they're not maxed out stat wise. But that's how you can identify that. So for me, hopefully now, this will be a King of the Ring that have a good chance to get into the final and get another survivor card. So that is a positive note. A second thing, first of all, I'd like to thank you everyone who did apply for me or accepted me to their teams. I had a lot of people from the chat saying that they wanted me to join them, etc. However, I wanted to go to a team where I could use my better cards, and as a result, I felt that had to be a survivor team rather than a legendary team. So I was in 2 different teams, was kicked from them both for don't know why, but I won't hold grudges. I won't berate them on here. And now I will thank my new team and Anfo2669 for inviting me to King of France. Some of you might have seen them in some of the shout outs from Zoma God Barbecue, etc. for the actual team events. So hopefully there are some guys who we can get into the top 50 with. And joining me in this team is also Sedanfo2669, Miku, Aikin, Alex, Kana, Octarian, Phil, Saga, and Viper. So we'll be looking for the next event, which is likely to be, I believe, a Road to Glory again in a team fashion, which will basically mean that you all play matches and you gain points towards a card. Once you get the required number of points, every team member gets that card. That's the idea. I think how it would work. And obviously, as you go through the cards, then the level of difficulty would meant to increase. I'm not too sure if that is exactly what they're going to do, but that is the rumor mill. We should find out soon enough because there'll be something come out, whether it's in game, whether it's on the bulletin board or something like that. As you can see, none of these are anything to do with anything recent, but something should come out in the near future to clarify that up. Now, to the main part of what was going to be this, should we say, video, was I was going to show you me training my cards and then how I actually put out the tokens. However, that's all been done, so I'm going to have to backtrack and explain to you what I did. Now, first of all, I had two checking stuff. Okay, yeah, I had 2 Randy Ortons, and I made this Randy Orton to be power, toughness, and speed. Okay, so I was explaining in the previous video before the errors that you can't one stat a card. By one stat, I mean just put all your tokens into one stat. So, for example, power, and here's a good example. 3, there's an extra spare token, so you're going to have to put it into at least 2 stats regardless. So let's talk about 2 statting, 3 statting, and 4 statting a card. And that, in order, relates to focusing on 2 of these like stats, 3 of these stats, or 4 of them. So you'll be putting tokens around like depending on what you want to do. So, for example, if I was 2-statting him in power and speed, I might do something like this at the moment, or like this. If I was going to be 3-statting him, I would do something like speed, 2 into toughness, 1 into power. And if I was going to be 4-statting him, I would end up doing something like this. Okay, so let's explain those. So for the 2-stat, we'll be focusing on power and speed because he procs in power and speed, and as a result I'm going to make sure that both of those statistics for him are as high as they can and not focus on toughness or speed. Now for this card I have 3-statted him, so for that I have gone for his toughness as well and just completely neglected even to do anything to his charisma. So if I was going to put the stats out, I would do something like 2 bonuses to his toughness because his power and speed are already quite good, 1 on speed, and then probably 3 on toughness, and the last one I go on speed when he's last one I go on power when he's at level 25. But I'm not going to put those yet, because I'm going to wait till his final stats. But that would be doing it for the 3-stat, and obviously 4-stat would mean that I would now have to improve the charisma and the toughness to bring them up into level with the power and the speed. Now, because I haven't made the card like that, the charisma is lacking too much for me to actually like show you what it would look like with the tokens on it. But I did show you this before when they had the 2 solo cards, where the actual tokens went and the reason why. So unfortunately can't get that back, but that gives you an idea of what to do. Now I'd always recommend either 2-statting or 3-statting a card. Now if you wanted a 2-stat a card, then a card like, let me come all the way down here to a Silver Pro Ryback. Where are you? Okay, here's a good example of a card who you would maybe 2-stat because his power and his toughness are his best stats. His speed and his charisma aren't, and he procs in power and toughness. So you might say, well, he's not a top tier card, he's not one of the best cards in the game, therefore I'm going to focus all my tokens on improving his power and toughness, so at least he is reasonably good in those 2 stats. If you try to balance him out and bring up his speed and charisma, he's just going to be lacking everywhere, so he will be weak against other power and toughness cards, and he still won't be good against speed and charisma cards, because for example someone like Kofi Kingston will still beat him in those areas. So this would be the kind of example that you would say, no, never mind, Ryback, let's just focus on power and toughness. I say I don't ever really recommend trying to balance all 4 stats, because by doing that you normally end up with a card that's okay in every stat but doesn't really excel anywhere, and therefore they're going to struggle when they come against like other cards that like are medium cards and do quite well. You know, say for example you come up against you had a nicely leveled out, say Shawn Michaels, and then you come up against Rusev. Well, Rusev's probably still going to beat you in power and toughness, even if you've balanced your Shawn Michaels to have some good power and toughness. He's still going to beat you there, so you'd be better off to make your Shawn Michaels kind of good in 2 stats and maybe a 3rd, rather than just trying to bring up his weaker stats. That's my opinion anyway. Now I'm going to quickly stop this and come back in on the Jack Swagger, so see you shortly. Okay, and I'm back, and now I'm going to have to repeat this again, so apologies, I can't show you everything because I have already done my Jack Swagger, but I will talk you through what happened. Now, I have 3 pros here. I have The Undertaker, I have Brett, and I have Rusev, and if you notice, the left arrow, right arrow, down arrow, and now the up arrow, okay? So I have a perfect taggable exhibition deck with these 4 male superstars. So when I was looking through them, you can see that Undertaker procs in power and toughness, Brett procs in toughness and charisma, and Rusev procs in power and toughness. So this helped me to decide how I was going to do my Swagger card. Now, the other event cards have been an Undertaker and a Roman Reigns, which, you know, power and toughness again feature, and Jack Swagger is power and toughness. So that lets you probably kind of feel that in the future the next event's gonna maybe have a speed or a charisma card in it, or maybe a speed and charisma card. So as a result, I could, because this is my first event pro of a Survivor card, I could have made him a power and toughness, just solely power and toughness card, so he can try and rival Roman Reigns, Undertaker, and try and beat, you know, those cards. However, because I have The Undertaker and Bret Hart, I went for a different route, okay? And as you can see here, power toughness is sorted with Undertaker. Toughness and charisma is sorted with Bret. Now, Rusev, I actually put tokens into his speed, and I tried to build his speed up. What I should have done, in hindsight now, is if I had known the cards and the order I was going to get them, I would have put one of his power tokens into speed and bought him at 2,500 for all his stats, and he would have been my kind of okay card. So he would have been the speed part, which would have meant that if I get speed match, Rusev comes out. At the moment he's still my best card in speed out of the three, but I would have boosted that a little bit more had I have had the Undertaker before I had Rusev. But we are where we are, so that gave me an influence into my swagger. Now, just to, should we say, alleviate a few questions which have happened as to why I don't have more event pros, should we say, whether they were the legendary ones or the survivor ones, is because I wasn't in the top tier. So when you had like a ring domination, I couldn't put out a team that would allow me to get the top card. So I could, for example, get the survivor card, but I could not get the event card because I was not in survivor tier. And that happened when it was legendary pros. I was in epic, not in legendary, so I couldn't get the cards. So there was no point in me trying to grind my way for loads of singles, because eventually they're going to be useless. I'm not going to use them. So that was the reason. Now that I can get into the top tier, into survivor tier with ring domination, I can have a team that can get through the event cards in Road to Glory. Like with Swagger, I was playing plus 10s up until 30 points into him. I was then playing plus 6s up until about 110 points into him. So it was only the last 100 points or so that I had to play plus 2s, which meant that it takes a lot less time to do. And obviously it's a lot easier for me to be able to get those cards. So now you will be able to see me get the majority of the event cards as long as I'm around and I'm not away or too much work. So that is it. Well, that's my explanation anyway for why I don't have that many. So what did I do with Jack Swagger? Well, unfortunately, I can't show you, but as you can probably see from his base stats here, I went and boosted his speed massively. Now, the reason why I boosted his speed is because I don't have a speed card at the moment. I did say that I do think a speed or charisma card will be coming out, and I had two choices. I was either fully focus on his power and toughness, or I do say power, toughness and charisma. Now, I'm going to assume that the majority of people that got the Jack Swagger card will use charisma as his third stat, because obviously charisma was better than speed, and most of them will neglect to touch his speed. So I have changed my, should we say, thinking, and as a result, I have decided to give his speed a huge bonus and a huge boost, because by boosting his speed, he should beat every other Jack Swagger card out there. He should also beat Roman Reigns and Undertaker in the speed category, and he's going to beat the majority of speed cards as normal survivor cards, obviously because he's an event pro. So that was my theory anyway. Now let's put some training cards into him and see how it ends up. You see with these Silver Star pros, when I don't use them, I just pro them up, and then I throw them into. So I pro them up, so they do the card catalogue, so I can get the single and the pro them. Then I just feed them basically. Now that should be fine. Okay, so here are his stats. Now, without matches being played, now just click on here. So plus 19, plus 19, plus 18, and plus 19. So what that means is that once you played 30 matches, each one for speed will be plus 18, each one for toughness will be plus 19, each one for power will be plus 19. So it's 57 for power, toughness, and charisma, and 54 to be added on for speed. So now that will put him as a base for speed, that will put him at just under 3,000, okay? So that is going to beat the majority of cards, even if they proc. Even if they proc in speed, it should beat the majority of survivor cards. And it's going to beat, obviously, any Jack Swagger within reason around there, any Roman Reigns, and any Undertaker within reason, because most people won't have those statistics at 3,000. So I will have one token on the speed to put it to 3,000. Now the charisma is just going to be completely neglected. So the next part is the power and the toughness. What I will do is they will have 57 on, so power will go up to 2965, and then toughness will go up to 2903. So I will probably do something like this will be the tokens. Going to assume that that's how I will leave these tokens for my swagger. So I'll put his speed up to 3000. I will boost his toughness up to put it a little bit worse than his power. Obviously, he can proc in both of those to increase them, so they can go over 3000 with the procs, and it's just the charisma lacking. Now, I'm tempted to put these tokens on now. I'm gonna just wait. I am gonna just wait, and probably come and see how my exhibition deck looks, because I'm going to train swag up. Now what I can do is I can remove this Cameron and bring in my Eve, who needs training, because as you can see, I'll be able to pro Eve soon, and once I can pro her, it will mean that I will be able to use her as my solo diva in King of the Ring, and then I can use Nikki Bella with Cameron as the tag. And that will mean I'll get rid of that epic Naomi from the lineup. But as you can see here, Jake the Snake is only in here to finish just improving, but also to try and keep my tier down. Now, unfortunately, I'm probably going to be up against... No, that's not the end of the world. Okay, good. So it hasn't put me into the top tier, so I'm doing people from tier 1 or Survivor, which is good. So let's just play Geordie very quickly, and I will show you the kind of process and train my cards. Now, I want to use Jack Swagger in 2 stat matches. So just for toughness, I'm going to throw out Undertaker. Whether I win or lose doesn't really make too much difference because I'm here training, but I want to use 2 stat matches on Swagger. So once again, I will throw out Bret Hart because I want to use 2 stat matches. Now, if we look here at this Swagger, just for an example, okay, I think did he proc? No, he didn't proc, yeah. As you can see, his charisma and his speed, I will beat him on the speed side. He would beat me on the power and the toughness. However, and I have to use him now. However, when you get a card like this against the Roman Reigns, as you can see, I do beat him on the speed side. Power and toughness, well, he's probably going to have me again, but I still have that 36%, chance to proc. And once we're against, other people who aren't using event cards, he should be able to win in everything apart from charisma. So we could use Geordie again just for the sake of trying to just check that Roman Reigns card. Come on. I didn't get any 2 stats there. I wanted obviously 2 stat games for my charisma, no good. Okay, so we'll just throw out Bret Hart. So yeah, it's just Roman Reigns. He's got over 3000 in both his power and toughness, and obviously he's been left his speed and his charisma alone. So I might not even, I might not even put any tokens into speed now. I might use tokens. I'm gonna have to have a think here. I was meant to use Eve. So stupid. Sorry, talking. Let's see what this Jack Swagger is. Okay, so he's concentrated on power, so I still beat him with speed. I'm gonna lose to charisma anyway, and obviously toughness and power will depend on boosts. Although he's so. What will I do? I'm not sure. Okay, let's come out of this. And let's click on him again very quickly. So yeah, he's gonna be lacking in power and toughness versus other Swaggers, Roman Reigns and Undertakers, but that was I kind of knew that anyway. So I'm relying on the procs to win that. Most of the matches between Swagger and Swagger, or Swagger and Reigns, etc., is going to be decided from procs anyway. So I probably could have put more tokens into the charisma to have boosted that as well, but I actually think now that I will leave the speed as it is. So I'll do something probably along the lines of, oh no, 28. I'm gonna see, you know, because he's gonna get what, 19, so 57 onto there will put him at 20. 28, 40, was that 28, 45 or something? If you add 18, I'll put him up to 57. 28, 57 might be enough to beat some of the other 28. So let's have a look. 28, 57. Let's go back to Geordie again. He seems to want to be, seems to want to play him all the time. See, 28, 57-ish, or I could add another token. 57-ish. Alright, so we'll just throw in. See, here you go. See, speed isn't good for me. So 28.57. So that would beat the Undertaker in charisma. 28.57 would beat his Undertaker in charisma. I'd beat his Undertaker in speed, and then I'd have to rely on a proc to beat him in power or toughness. Okay, so let's keep that in mind. Next one is, I'm just going to use him for the sake of it. Okay, 28. So I would lose in charisma. Forget the proc here. So the proc, I could beat him in toughness and I'd lose in power, but I'd win in speed. Okay, so against this swagger, okay, I'm just going to train up, and I'd beat 57, so I'd have to have 2. If I had 2 on charisma, I'd beat this Roman Reigns in charisma, beat him in speed, and obviously power and toughness again will go down to proc. Okay, so I think what I may end up doing then, sorry, I wasn't planning on doing it like this, but this person has just helped me to kind of get an idea, is I know that I have 57 points to come on here from charisma, from filling out all the matches played, which is going to put me at what, 2835. Then if I 2835, if I add another 38 to it, that's going to put me at what, 2873. 2873. What I think I will do is do this. Yeah, I wasn't going to do this, guys. This is a bit of an ad hoc video here. I wasn't going to put anything on the charisma. If I was going to do this, I'd have put the charisma tokens on one of the 2 original ones and boosted it, then left it. However, from looking at just one other guy's cards, and he has the Undertaker, the Reigns, and the Jack Swagger, then I don't need to do any boost to speed. I should leave his speed alone, and as a result of that, I'm going to probably focus his tokens onto the charisma. So yeah, that's going to be it. Let me know what you think. Let me think, is that a good idea? I'm not going to do it right now and wait to play his game, so hopefully some of you guys might see this. I'll give it a day or so before putting those tokens on. I'm not going to be using him in the current King of the Ring or anything, so I'm not in any rush to put the tokens on. I'll see what the feedback is, see what you guys think I should do with him. And from here, you can see the basic stats. Where should those tokens go? I am thinking to leave his speed, because it's already good enough to beat all those cards. None of them can proc in it, and he should still beat the majority of survivor cards, even if they do proc in speed, unless somebody just gone and, you know, whacked on loads of tokens there. He'll beat them without the proc for sure, and then we will have to see with that charisma. But I'm really now thinking that I'm going to make him to be able to beat the majority of those cards in speed and charisma, and then the proc will help him in power and toughness. That's what I think I'm going to do. Yep. Okay, so with that said, I've been MyTyme. Let me know in the comments if you think I should change it, or if you think I've just completely butchered the card. I suppose to a certain extent I have completely butchered it in terms of going for the speed, but I've got my reasons behind it, and I've tried to explain it as well as I can, and hopefully you can now see that it will help me in terms of speed and still give me a chance in power, toughness, etc. And then maybe doing that little bit extra into the charisma will help me to have a card that can beat all the other event cards in speed and charisma pretty much, and will still have a little chance in the power and toughness if it is a proc. Okay, well, I've been MyTyme. Thank you very much for watching me. Let me know what you thought, and I will see you all soon.